This video is going to be explaining, the video is going to be explaining, what's that about? A video cannot physically stand up here and talk. I can't. So let me rephrase that. I will be talking about North Node in the sign of Libra. Now this means that your South Node is in Aries. So the South Node points to past lives, past karmas, what you bring into this life through all those past experiences and conditioning that probably in a lot of cases were taken to extremes. And I find that super intriguing, that if they would be. So it is the habits that you tend to fall back on that while the South Node sign has a high vibration, a high road, there are things in which you would naturally want to break away from. Things that your soul is like, I'm done, I'm graduated, I want to expand, I want to move on, I want to evolve. And we wouldn't go back into our comfort zone if all of those wounds and all of those negative things did not serve us and didn't feel comfortable. So, it's a natural move from the South Node to the North Node. The Dragon's head, your Dragon's tail. The North Node can point you in the direction of your destiny and your evolution. It is not necessarily your Saturn. Let me make that clear, because Saturn is where the work needs to be put in, how you want to go out into the world and go into this big building which has columns and step in and then find yourself in a room full of people where you have to stand up, present your product, tell the audience what it is that you are here to do. It's this sort of thing, and it's the sort of lesson and recovery, maturance, and healing throughout life. When it really comes to the North, the nodes, so many great people, really famous people in history have existed and have lived great lives, and they were not aware of their nodes. They just went through their life and moved into their North Node sign and balanced the two out. All signs evolve through their opposite signs, and in this case, the high road of Aries would be the North Node in Libra. So it's not a complete, like, oh, I'm just abandoning this. Oh, I'm going to move into this. No. It is the bridge. It is the bridge from the South Node to the North Node. But, I think the South Node is super duper important to really, really look at, because that tells you where you're coming from. That tells you, just what your soul is very, very familiar with, and how that South Node has to evolve. So it's super important to know that and not deny or disown it. So now I'm talking about the South Node in the sign of Aries. So if you think about the themes of Aries, I'm going to list some of these off spontaneously. Wars, assertion, aggression, being the center spotlight in a way, being first, wanting to be first, wanting to take the lead, wanting to initiate, wanting to domineer, wanting to be the pioneer, wanting to be the one who will physically exercise while riding a bicycle across a huge plane of existence. Aries is very masculine. It's very physical in the body, and is also a cardinal sun. And Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. And Aries is the fighter. Aries is the warrior. There is a need to really go into the I am very, very connected with your wants, your needs, your desires, your ambitions, your motivations, your ways of riding across the highway, and the car that you want to select from the car shop. So it's very, very rooted in you being the individual, standing on your own 2 feet, really being self-sufficient in your own survival, because you were taught the hard way that in order to get what you need, want, desire, you need to stand up and pull your sleeves up, roll them up, and go out and get the ingredients to make the bread and be able to go out and be independent. And this could have manifested coming into this life in very, very unhealthy ways. And indeed, this North Node tends to look at that and illuminate it and have that little, flame in the balloon that you're just looking at the balloon, and then instead of the balloon being dark, it's actually filled with light. So if you think about Aries, very, egoic, very me against somebody else. And I have to fight to get this. I have to push and elbow to get all the ingredients that I have to make under press time with the clock ticking to make a leftover dish that I have to present to camera in one case. But I want to now shift over to connecting with the sort of feeling and sort of the images, going more in depth into what I think this means. So the first thing that I see with this, I see the trenches. I really, really see, in World War I, for instance, when soldiers were separated from their homes and families and had to leave the comforts, leave what made them happy, what made them fulfilled and satisfied, going on a train and having to pack all their stuff up and say goodbye to their loved ones, and they were not 100% sure if they were going to see them again. So there was great fear, really, really great fear. And then going over to this war site and then being just drafted, thrown into these trenches, where you would go in these trenches with really, really unhealthy, very sickening conditions, but more so, you were always constantly under danger. You always had to be aware, be conscious. You always had to be on guard and be tuned into a sound or a shell or a cannon or a gunshot or a scream or a call or something, where it's sort of in any minute now, on your toes, very, very on edge, on like a walking on eggshells, sort of feeling, it seemed, where, you really, really had to fight for your survival to get what you absolutely wanted. And I think of the Hunger Games. I think of the Hunger Games. I think of all the tributes that were forced into this arena where they went through training, and then they were just thrown into this arena where they had to survive. And they all became sharks in this shark tank where they had to battle each other and, one against the other. It was this one against the other sort of deal. Where, the family dynamics may have been strained or cursed or very, very tight knit in the web of fear, stress, hate, not feeling loved, and not feeling, not having the opportunity to be connected with other people and connect and have those sort of loving, nurturing relationships. And it was very, very unpeaceful. I think of in Night, when there was one scene in Night by Elie Wiesel, a book I read several years ago, which is a true Holocaust story in memoir form, where there was one scene where they were all fighting in this car, this cattle car, for bread, for that crusty, probably stale piece of bread. They were all super duper hungry. They were deprived of, their a lot of their, all their possessions, their hair, their clothes. So many things that they went through, and they had to, fight for survival. It's this sort of primal, instinctual feeling of these wolves that will fight each other for this food, whatever it is, in an Alaskan wilderness, in which, it was always, who has to be first. You have to be first, you have to win, you have to go in and really, really get in there to be able to get the food and get what you need or want. So it's very survival oriented. And that tends to be what people with the South Node in Aries can then bring into this incarnation. But the North Node in Libra is really the opposite of this. And it's really healing that Aries, feeling of unloved, feeling, like you have to do it all yourself. And the difference of this and then the South Node in Taurus is the South Node in Taurus is more related to stability, and it's more patient, and it's not as impulsive. Aries is very impatient. It's very impulsive, goes after the impulse, having to fight for this, having to, it is this primal sort of thing. And with North Node in Libra, it can help to really cure and mature and level down, level off the unneeded impulses, kind of like if you were to spoon flour into a measuring cup and you would need an even measurement. You would need something balanced. And indeed, the North Node in Libra is about balance, fairness, and justice. It is about collaboration, and it also about the appreciation of, beauty in life, where you don't have to fight anymore. You don't have to be in that sort of war state of heart and mind, where you can open the door to this garden of peace. And with this comes forming the relationships with others that has been discouraged, denied, and beaten down on, to the point where it's just dead and lifeless in previous lives. To where now it's the opportunity to take the Aries motivation, ambition, strength, leadership, activation energy, um, you know, real, prowess, if it's even a word, and use it in North Node fashion of helping others, being there for others, cooperating, helping others on their path of life, with their needs, with their desires, with their net pines. And net pines, by the way, is my word for goals and ambitions. I have a song, You Can See Your Pines, and it's basically about your goals and then seeing the results of those goals, which is pretty simple. So, and I do create words, because somebody has to, start swimming. We need to, expand. So I might as well be one, not the one, but one of the ones, to create new things. And indeed. So, Libra is really balancing, seeing what, you don't need to fight for, exactly sharing, as well, helping others, connecting with others. Those are all the themes of this Libra North Node. Sometimes it is about putting yourself first in a healthy way, not denying, disowning your own needs, but, going forth, being that peaceful warrior, going forth with your own needs, but, without those extreme feelings and situations and experiences where you can also do it, achieve alongside other people and be co-independent. In terms of independence, co-independency, with others and what they want to get out of life. So that is this placement. Thank you for watching this video.